Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pop Culture Reacts as we are working our way through The Bends by Radiohead and we are at track seven, eight,
Eight.
eight, yes.
Eight.
My Iron Lung.
So this one's a little bit unusual for the album. So I said that we'd had the first single, but this was actually an EP that came out between Pablo Honey and the Bends, and this was the
Mm.
title track of the EP. So yes, this was. I think it's a year and a half before the album comes out, but kind of didn't count it as the first single because yeah, it existed on its own regard as part of an EP. So yeah, I guess with this really was your precursor to what they were going to do in the album, and um, I guess you'll be the judge when you hear it to see whether it holds more similarities with Pablo Honey because of it being written closer to that and
Mm.
in that transition as they build up to writing the bends.
Seems a bit random if it was on an EP that they then put it into the album because usually, especially at this sort of time, a lot of them would have just had them as mini albums, these EPs, and that's a thing there, and you then obviously then have your full new album.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends, doesn't it? I mean, uh, we not long ago come off the Love Bites album, which had four songs from the EP on it.
Yeah,
So I guess it depends, doesn't it? And maybe they
yeah,
just liked it a lot, so they wanted it
mm,
on the album. I mean, it charted at number 24. So at the time when this was coming out, this was probably before the big explosion of British music, or kind of at the early stages of it. So maybe the fact that it sold well, like, leaned into let's get that track on the album as well.
yes. So should we get in the Iron Lung?
Let's do this. iron lung. My iron lung.
Your Iron Lung.
It's my iron lung, not yours. Mine.
That's
Mine.
fun. I like that. That could have quite easily sat on Pablo Honey, but it also could have quite easily been like a Mud Honey song or early Nirvana grungy sort of band doing
Yeah.
something.
I think Pablo and parts of this album, and as we said, like this being an EP beforehand, I think it's quite clear that they do love grunge, and where possible, they like to kind of integrate grunge elements if they can, as well as other kind of music, and you'll see that as they go on. But they're not afraid, are they, of kind of going, I like that. Let's bring parts of that into our songs.
Yeah, 'cause there's definitely that. It was the bit where the guitarist was going off on one, sort of scratching away at it, was very sort of early Nirvana, Mud Honey, that sort of noisy grunge stuff that was never going to be the stuff that
Cacophonous
got to.
is the term that I
I
often
like
use.
that
Is
word.
yeah. Get ready for that to be used a lot in later albums. That cacophonous element, I think, is a key part to their musical journey going forward. I think they lean quite heavily into that conceptually as we go on.
Mm. With the vocals, I was getting a lot of Soundgarden. That sort of lots of heavy, angry noise, but the sort of just being like standing still vocal, sort of just being in the middle of the chaos around it. Um, yeah, I'd like that. Uh,
It's a great run in the lyrics. And it says, this is our new song, just like the last one, a total waste
yeah.
of time, my iron lung. And I just think, oh, brilliant, like absolute sort of genius in it. Now, of course, like for me, and I think like intentionally, and probably why it sits in between is again, this is they're rallying against creep and the fame and the pressure that they were feeling, and creep being the iron lung. It's the thing that sustains them and keeps them alive. It's why they got a second album. It's why they could afford to record another album, but actually they don't want to just be kept alive off the back of this thing. They want to go and do something else. They want to go and
Mm,
create. They want to be themselves, but they're constantly tied and pulled into the iron lung. And as I say, like illustrated so beautifully with that, this is our new song, just like the last one, a total waste of time. And it's quite brave, isn't it? It's quite brave to turn your back on the thing that um, really got their attention or got people's
yeah.
attention to them. Now,
As I
I
said,
do think over time they soften to how
mm,
they feel about Creep, but I think very much at this time it was a millstone. I think it was the pressure that the thing for you to live up to that probably unfairly you never could again, and I think it was having really sort of detrimental impacts on them.
mm. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of how Kurt Cobain was after Teen Spirit became
Yeah,
huge,
yeah,
and what was the first single off was "Rape Me," to be like
yeah.
there, that it's giving me those sort of same fuck you vibes of yeah, this may be the one that got us the big thing, but no, this isn't us. We aren't defined by that one thing. But it also has like the
But
pick scratches and stuff that are close enough to it to
yeah,
be. You liked that. Here's some just a sprinkle of
well, one of the other like lyrics in it is "We scratch our eternal itch," and like for me, that's always jumped out of as you say, it's the scratch, it's the creep scratch. and they're
Mm.
going, that's going to be with us forever. And we might have actually liked for it to stay for us forever, but now actually it's that eternal itch now that we don't really want. Again, going back to that kind of millstone around their neck, but and you know, like this is sort of the DNA stuff that makes me love them as a band. It okay, there's heavy layering into what was happening to him personally. We've seen this in a number of the songs. The the feeling, the pressure that was coming with it, and creeping especially. But not every song has to mean something, but I love it when it does. You know, like I love it when it comes from a personal place, but not only from a personal place, but that when it's written smartly and you know you almost want to dig into it, you want to bury into it. Like there's lines in there that are kind of and throughout the album full of sort of similes and subtext that you'll never get on first time out, and sometimes still not, and sometimes it doesn't make sense to you
Mm.
because actually it just made sense to him at the time. But it's the we talked in a couple of the previous videos about the layers upon layers that they're starting to put into the music, and I think again we're starting to see those layers upon layers more so in the lyrics than was there in Pablo Honey. And I'm not saying it wasn't there in Pablo Honey, but I think it starts to get smarter and more creative in this. And um, when we started the album, there was we discussed like the depressing nature of them, and often how people say that's what they are. And I guess this is why I never felt like that they are, because they talk about it, and I think people don't tend to, do they? I think that's one of the
Mm.
things of going and kind of talk openly about how you're feeling or how something made you feel, and I think that really sings true to me for these as a band, and this sort of specifically as a song. Yeah, I feel for them, and I love the song Creep, but I feel like probably not maybe intentionally. So I feel like part of the
Mm.
problem when I listen back to this and go, yeah, okay, I get it, and I get how the one hit wonder element of being a musician can either drive you to distraction trying to recreate that, or as they say, and ultimately I think what they do is they go, we have to completely reject this thing that we liked because we want to stroke need to do what we want to do musically. We can't be
Yeah.
tied to this same thing over and over again.
So, what is next?
Right, next up we're going into track number 9, and I've clicked off the track listing, Chris. Wait one caller. That's great. Bulletproof. I wish I was. And that is actually the title. It's not Bulletproof, and I'm saying I wish I was. It's Bulletproof. I wish I was.
Ah. So, as always, YouTube things, like, subscribe, ring the bell, comments down there, and we'll be back very shortly with Bulletproof. I wish I was. Goodbye.
Bye.